Hello again. You're most welcome to today's episode of BB Uncovered, an 80-year odyssey, powered by the Movement Studio. My name is Tosin Adefeko, but my friends call me Tosh. With me today is a legend in his own right, the great Steve Babaeko, who happens to be my... He wouldn't accept the legend title, but I call him a legend. He's my friend, a mentor, and a leader in the industry. You're most welcome for joining us on The Movement, Steve.
Thank you so much, Tosh. I'm really, really happy to
be here. Thank you. Yeah. Let's take it from the beginning. Okay. What is your BB story? Tell us.
We'll need a year for you to run through, to run through all the stories that I have, because really, really exciting stories. I remember, I think the year was 1995. I had just finished my degree from the Ahmadu Bello University, did my service with NTA Kano, and I decided that, look, advertising is going to be it for me. And I quickly realized that the only place I could come and have a good career in advertising was Lagos, because, I mean, all the major ad agencies are based here. So I decided to pack my rucksack from Kaduna, and I came to Lagos. I think it was June 8, 1995, I remember correctly. And I came in here. It took me about 3 years to land my first job. And my first job was at MCNA. I think I was 24 years old then. My first job was at MCNA, Saatchi & Saatchi. Okay. And Saatchi & Saatchi, at the time, was part of the Striker Group, was headed by the legendary Dr. Biodun Shobanjo. So when I started, I mean, I think I would be one of the few recruits at the time who did not go through the chairman's interview, because they hired me as a trainee copywriter stroke, a production assistant. So I hit the ground literally running, so there was no chairman's interview, because normally the structure with Striker is that whatever company you get recruited in, you have to go through all of the group companies and then to end up culminating an interview with Dr. Shobanjo. So, but that didn't happen in my own case, so I didn't get to meet him for a while. But of course, working in MCNA, as CEO, managing director at the time, the late Mr. Victor Johnson, of course, who say so much about Dr. Biodun Shobanjo. So we knew there was this legendary guy at Insight. But funny enough, Mr. Johnson encouraged us to be very fiercely independent. He didn't want to see us as some small pond within the Troika big ocean. So he wanted us to be able to stand for our ground and do our own thing. But at the same time, we knew we were part of the Troika Group.
Gotcha.
Until one day, I think we were, I don't even know, I just come from break. We walked to my desk, and lo and behold,
you met
Dr. Biodun Shobanjo walked in.
Oh my
God. It was
God.
like Zeus himself come down from Mount Olympus.
He used to feel like honestly, I used to feel when he comes around, I'll be like, oh, chairman.
The room was eerily silent.
Yes.
Everybody, and then he went to the wall. He has this habit of pulling one of his earlobes like this when he's concentrating on stuff. And then he was looking at something, because normally in that agency we would display some of our creatives on the wall. So he was looking at it, and he was looking at it, and he was looking at it. That was fine. And all of us creatives were right behind him with our hands just. And then he said something. He looked at one of the work and said, "Who did this?" And there was one of our friends. We laughed at him for months after that. Yeah. And he came and said, actually, Mr. Chairman, sir, I did the pastel. When you wanted to do artwork at that time, you have to do pastel. He just turned back slowly and said, "My friend, I didn't ask about the pastel." So months after that, we'll laugh at that guy. Somebody could come into the creative department and said, "Who built this house?" And somebody would say, "Actually, I brought the nails."
Oh my God.
So he hated us, but I mean, that was my first encounter with Dr. Shobanjo.
Oh my God.
It was
and then subsequently, did you have any?
Yeah. I mean, he will come around. But one thing that you quickly notice about him is that the man is a fighter. He always wants to win. He always wants to be number one. Yes. He will not be number two to anybody. And that competition, that sense of competition,
yes,
I quickly aligned with my soul in such a way, because I think I'm built like that as well.
Gotcha.
So those were the things that I quickly picked up. And I'll give you a story. There was one year where the MultiChoice account used to be with Prima Garnet. I think it should be around 97 or 96, thereabout. So Saatchi and Saatchi won a Pan-African pitch for the business. So the business had to leave Ogilvy and come to Saatchi and Saatchi, MCNA.
Gotcha.
And of course, in typical Prima Garnet stylish way of those days, they did a full-page ad to say,
they've won.
Goodbye, multi-choice. The account was leaving.
Yeah.
The account was leaving them.
So they
put up a full page ad to say, goodbye, multi-choice. It's been nice working with you, but whatever happens, if you need, you can always
come back here.
Dr. Shobanjo called our creative director, I think it was Yori Folari at the time.
Oh my God.
And did you see the ad that ran in the paper today? If I don't see a reply of your own ad in the paper by tomorrow,
you're finished.
Head full roll. We couldn't go home until almost, we had to hold, the paper we wanted to run our ad in, we had to literally hold them down.
On production.
Until we got approval from the chairman to say, welcome home, multi-choice. Our own ad the next day. So those are the kind of,
I love it.
Yeah, war stories that you learn from the Don himself, because he's incredible.
That's an amazing story. I mean, I was going to ask, my next question was, so what do you most admire about him when you look at his personality, his character? What do you most admire?
I think his fearlessness. The man is fearless, frankly. And frankly, there's a lot I admire about the man, I won't lie to you. About his fearlessness, his courage to take on big dreams and execute them is really second to none, the way I've seen it. And if you notice anything about him, because he's so successful and because of his voracious appetite for success, if you divide his followers into two, half of them are people who are fiercely loyal and loving of him. They love him so much. But the other half are people who really, really, I won't say hate, but
they're like,
they really can't stand the man. You see, so just to see how success can instigate that kind of emotional reaction in people, for me, it's still a case study that I look at every day, and I can relate to it.
I can
too. Where I stand, I can relate to it, to know that success is going to breed love, and it's going to breed a whole lot of envy and jealousy. So he's been through it, where in the same crowd, you find a set of people who really, really love and admire him, and the other crowd who are probably not so.
Yes.
Yeah, but you see that he's a man who really, really is fearless regardless. He's going to go out. Whatever it takes to make the business work, he's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
He's willing to take all of those hard decisions, those big decisions, and he gets it.
Yeah, I think those of us that have worked with him, as one of them myself, I can totally understand, when you say that.
Yeah.
But let's moving away from his personality a little. Let's go into the marketing industry. You yourself, I feel like you're also a challenger in that, or rather, let me put it this way. You came in as a challenger in the industry, and you're, slowly becoming one of the fastest growing advertising companies.
Absolutely.
So if I were to say, what would you say? Is there anything you took from his path that, in terms of values, that you now emulate or use to ease your own journey? Share some stories.
A lot of it, because honestly, in most cases where I really don't want to be to say so much about myself,
yes,
I would say I shamelessly took his playbook and ran with it. This is not the first time I'm probably saying this. To say, look, dust off Dr. Shobanjo's playbook. I mean, after all, why fix it when it's not broken?
If it's not broken, exactly.
Take the man's playbook, bring it to 2024, bring it to 2012, maybe as at when we started, and just start to see how I can put my own layer of my own personality on it.
Yes.
And it's worked excellently, because if you see, I mean, some of the things he does, just from the little things, I promise you, right now on this podcast set, if you send Dr. Shobanjo an email, if he's not traveling, if he's not away from his phone, I can guarantee you get a reply in less than 10 minutes.
I believe you.
You will get a reply in less than 10. And you see, I tell people that's one of the hallmark of successful people. And again, if you tell Dr. Shobanjo, this event is starting at 12, most likely he will be here by 11:45. And that's why when you don't start at 12, he's going to give you another 5 minutes and he's already
He'll leave.
He's walking away.
Yeah.
Because he takes his time seriously. He believes time is money. And all of those things, you told me it was 12. I was here 25 minutes to 12. Those things are the values that I know. I may have had those things in me before, but I've seen somebody who has utilized all of those values and they made so much of themselves. So for me, we borrow those things shamelessly. And
honestly, can I just say to anyone that's listening, it looks like BB has created mini replicas because everyone has walked through our doors literally saying the same thing. It's amazing. But let's talk about industry, impact on the industry. I know you're no longer AAA.
No, president,
But he was one as well. So in terms of impact, what do you take from their own generation? Because I know he was first generation AAN, right?
Yeah. He
Can
was
you share a bit of
APN president at the time.
Exactly.
And if you follow the story very well, you see that I think he probably was the one that got AAN the land on which our secretariat is built today.
Yeah.
So his impact really remarkable. And to see that 50 years of the journey of AAN, we're all still here. This modern generation is still able to carry the banner and carry the flag and say fly it to a point where, I mean, one of the most amazing thing that happened to me recently was after my tenure, he sent me a message to say, Steve, I'm really proud of what you have done for AAA and you've done well. I mean,
that's vintage
for
BB.
me as a core card, it doesn't get better than that. So, I mean, definitely his generation did a lot to set the association in motion.
Yes.
And we're just building on top of all of the...
So in terms of his legacy, because I want us to talk about, what do you think BB will be remembered for in years to come?
He'll be remembered for being an innovative person.
Okay.
You see, because even back in the days, don't forget that this Dr. Shobanjo was ahead of his time by miles.
Yeah.
To be honest, when it was still all of the whole marketing communication departments under one roof, he was the one that started making the move
into different companies.
Yes. So he pioneered that here in Nigeria, and you see, it still subsists to today. You know, he's the one that also was bold enough to say, okay, look, beyond all of the marketing communication mix, can we also spread our tentacles to other areas of other industry, and then went into security.
That's true.
Stemming from a personal story that made him go into that. That's a story for another day. But he did that, and Halogen.
The MD of Halogen already told us a story when he was here.
Absolutely, it's still by far one of the most successful security companies in Nigeria today. So it is that sense of vision, and. Again, I'm saying this for the first time to anyone else. As at 2013 or 14, when Extreme started, he saw what Extreme was going to become because he's still the only one that has actually approached me for some kind of acquisition. So, see, it is about vision. It is about being able to see very far.
Yes.
For some reason, technical reasons between some of the shareholders, we couldn't make that deal happen. But he saw it. He was ahead of his time. He already saw, these guys are going places. You know, and it's
so
amazing.
uncanny that you say that. Because I also tell the story of how even when we started our practice, when we started to expand and we opened a small office in Oniko, I was still in my fearful stage, you know. And then he came to the office and he was like, Tosin, man, worry. You know how sometimes he will switch to you, man, worry that this place will soon be full. And I was looking at him that, is this man a spirit? Me, I only had like 2 staff at the time. And he's saying to me that this place will soon be full. Within 2 years of being in that space,
it was maxed out.
Exactly. Yeah. We outgrew the space. It's phenomenal stories. But we can't have you here without you talking about, some of your own personal contributions. Like, I want you to speak to passion for our young listeners. What is the contribution of passion to success?
Without passion, there's nothing else. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Because honestly, without passion, without passion and just overlay passion on also building relationships. Without passion and without relationships that you built and nurtured, you have nothing. You don't even own any business. Yesterday, there's a client of mine that we just started working for. Stayed somewhere along maybe Abraham Adesanya. I just returned from Germany. We had never met before. I jumped in my car. Boom.
You were there.
I don't care how bad the traffic is. Go there. We meet with them. Establish relationship. Build bond. That is it. It's the passion for your job. Honestly, I'm fortunate to have a job that if I don't even get paid for what I do now, I'll still do it. I love my job. And therefore, I put so much pressure on myself. I put so much pressure on the team. We're going to reward people as much as best as we can. But also know I'm looking for people, co-travelers who are also passionate about the job. I just don't want anybody who wants to collect paycheck
Exactly. At the end of the month.
Because if you are able to develop some kind of passion and dial up your passion while you're still working at extreme, I believe all of that energy you've stored inside are what you're going to use to fly when you finally venture out on your own.
Exactly.
Because there are people who say, it's not my father's work now, I'm not going to.
Oh.
When you set up your own, that is the same attitude. What you're going to bring to the table. So for me, it's always about passion, drive yourself. I tell my team, no matter what, the people will say, oh, you are the first agency in West Africa to win the Cannes Lions Award. If you come to my agency today, it is a taboo to mention that Cannes Lions Award.
I think you need to be thinking beyond Cannes by now.
If you talk about Cannes, tell me we're going to win the first Grand Prix. Don't tell me about what we have won.
What we
have won, that is gone. Tell me what is the next big thing, and that's passion driven. Because when you're not passionate, that's when you'll be remembering, one thing that you did in 1971. Who cares? The world has moved on. Tell us a new story. So it's all about that passion that keeps driving us and keeps pushing, and that's what drives the momentum.
I'm so glad I asked that question because, it's even outside of our discussions about BB, but to be honest, I'm taking the inspiration from you, even as you say it, that there's even a lot more we on this side can still do.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. Describe BB. 3 words. We're almost coming to a close.
Yeah. Stylish.
Okay.
Iconic. Because, see, I think, like I said, he was just way ahead of his time. In that generation, he was one of those visionary people who realized that there's something called CEO branding.
Yes.
And you see him, even if you close your eyes and Dr. Shobanjo walks in, once they tell you there's a man wearing bow tie and nicely dressed, you know it's him.
You know.
You know what I mean? So he understood what CEO branding meant, and he did it to a T. So he has a style, debonair, suave, gentleman, of quality. I really like that. And highly cerebral, highly cerebral. And the fact that there's this mantra that he has on his wall that I really, really like in his office one of those days that I went there. I think it says, it is good to be big. It is better to be good.
Yeah.
It is best to be both.
Okay.
It is good to be big.
Yes.
It is better to be good. It is best to be both. So it speaks to his philosophy. It doesn't believe in being number 2.
Yes.
And honestly, when we started Extreme Ideas, the first meeting I had with my team, I told them, anybody that ever says, oh, this is a startup agency, or we're a new agency, you'll be sacked.
In fact, I read that when I was reading your profile, and I told myself, me too, I would
we
never
are
say that.
the agency. I don't care. And at the time, I don't care whether there is an insight. I don't care whether there's I really don't care. We just want to come here and be number 1. And it's just that spirit of saying, why should you be number 2 to anyone? I tell my team, we didn't set up this agency to be number 2 to nobody. We want to be number 1. And those are the inspiration that I personally drew from just watching the man, and especially for young people, they'll come, well, I want you to be my mentor.
How?
How many people am I going to mentor? I'm telling you, the people who are my own mentor, they have never ever sat down with me and said, this is what you need to do. I watched them from afar. I watched someone like Dr. Shobanjo. Oh, why did he make the move? Why did he make this move? in my head, I'm actually finding myself
Calculating.
disagreeing with the movie made to find a flaw in it, and maybe when I'm not, then I can now get a clearer picture. I'm looking at the Dangotes of this one. Why did he do what he did? You think Alhaji Dangote is going to sit down with me? What time does he have between?
He doesn't do.
Becoming an activist over his refinery and fighting the government and fighting all of you. The man has no time.
And then rebranding as well.
Exactly. So you have to.
And you are the one rebranding him. We are seeing you.
You have to keep your eye on the ball. And the people I look at, people like Dr. Mike Adenuga, look at, if you see how hard the man still works today, how hard he works. I'm like, sometimes when I go and I have those meetings and I see his energy, his passion, I leave those meetings and tell myself, I have not even started though. Because if this man can buy me lock, stock, and barrel, look at the energy he's still bringing. Wait, what have you done? What have you achieved? You know, so those are the kind of things that I see in someone like that, and I know this man will be remembered for a long time. Not just his impact is not just in Nigeria. I think it goes across the continent.
Yes,
because
for sure.
If you go to South Africa, so many of these other countries, and you just mentioned Bibi, because they all call him Bibi.
Bibi, yes,
they all know him.
Absolutely,
I mean, his impact is really phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Every time I come out of these conversations, I leave more inspired than when we started. Didn't we say that the conversations are going to be inspiring and stimulating? We've been talking to Steve Babaeko on the Movement Studio, and this has been the most interesting conversation.
Thank you.
We totally appreciate
you
you
so
taking
much.
time to do this. As we come to an end, I'm going to ask Steve to wish Dr. Shobanjo a happy birthday. After all, this conversation is in commemoration of his birthday.
Absolutely.
So please feel free to say something to Doctor, and we can wrap it up from there.
For Dr. Biodun Shobanjo, I wish you a wonderful 80th birthday. It's a landmark. And honestly, I'll wrap up, even in trying to make this wish, I'll wrap up with a final story. I remember when I turned 50 a couple of years ago, my phone rang and it was Dr. Shobanjo on the phone. Oh, Steve, I must have missed your birthday. Happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. And thank you, sir. You know, and he said, can you send me your account number? I started laughing. I literally broke down and started laughing on the phone. And he was a little concerned. What's funny? I was like, I promise you that this is the first time in my life anybody was asking me for my account number. I'm usually the one that asks people to send the account number. And he sent me, I think, 500,000 that year. I'm grateful. Thank you, Dr. Biodun Shobanjo. Wish you long life and good health. When you're 160, we'll still come here and do another podcast to celebrate you. Thank you very much, boss.
Wow.
God bless you.
We have come to an end of this episode. Follow, subscribe, share, join us on the Movement Studio. We have a lot more coming for you. Thank you.